Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the world of rare and valuable UK coins. We'll be taking a closer look at two special finds: the 1992 10 pence coin and the 1997 50 pence coin. These aren't just ordinary coins, they're treasures that could be worth far more than their face value. So grab your coin jar because you might just have a hidden gem sitting in your pocket. Change. Let's get started. First up, the 1990 10 pence coin features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Raphael Makloff, which had been in use since 1985. This elegant portrait shows the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown often worn for state occasions. Around the edge of the coin, the legend reads, Elizabeth to DG Reg FD 1992, which is abbreviated Latin for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, defender of the faith. For collectors, understanding these inscriptions is part of the appeal because they connect us to centuries of tradition in British coinage and remind us of the ceremonial and constitutional role of the monarch on coins. On the reverse side of the 1990 10 pence, we see the design created by Christopher Ironside. This design had been used since the introduction of decimal coinage in 1968 and depicts the crowned lion passant guardant, a heraldic symbol strongly tied to English history and royal authority. The lion appears walking with one paw raised, crown to emphasize its association with sovereignty and strength. Beneath the design is the simple inscription 10 pence. Collectors admire this design because it was one of the earliest decimal designs, and though it was eventually replaced in 2008 by Matthew Dent's royal shield design, the crowned lion remains iconic in the world of British coins. One of the key points that makes the 1990 10 pence coin particularly interesting to collectors is its transitional status. It was the first year of the smaller sized 1op, measuring 24.5 millimeters in diameter and weighing 6.5 grams, compared to the older large 10p that measured 28.5 millimeters and weighed 11.3 grams. This change meant that people suddenly found their large 1op coin slowly withdrawn from circulation, replaced by this smaller coin that felt much more practical. Transitional years like this always catch the attention of coin collectors because they mark a turning point in the history of everyday money, and coins from these years often become reference pieces for numismatic study. In 1990, the Royal Mint struck a very high number of these new smaller 10 pence coins to get them into circulation quickly. About 1.41 billion pieces were issued for circulation, which makes them extremely common overall. However, what sets 1992 apart is not rarity, is circulation, but rather the significance of being the very first year of the reduced size type. For collectors who want a typeset or a complete decimal series, having a 1992 small 10p is absolutely essential, even if it isn't particularly rare in the raw numbers. But rarity is not the only factor that determines value. Condition plays a huge role. A 1990 10 pence pulled from circulation today is likely to be well worn, with scratches, dull surfaces, and maybe even some tarnishing from decades of handling. Such a coin might only be worth face value 10 pence itself. However, in uncirculated condition, or even better, in brilliant, uncirculated BU sets or proof sets, the coin becomes much more desirable. A pristine example with sharp details and full mint luster can be worth a couple of pounds to the right collector, and proof versions housed in their original packaging can fetch even more, sometimes in the £5 to £15 range depending on the market. There's also the question of errors and varieties. While no major widespread errors are famously associated with the 1992 10 pence, collectors always keep an eye out for off-center strikes, misaligned dies, double struck legends, or any unusual anomalies. These minting errors can dramatically increase the value of an otherwise common coin. A rare error on a 1990 10 pence could potentially sell for tens of pounds or more depending on its uniqueness and collector demand. This is why many coin enthusiasts check every single coin carefully, under good lighting, sometimes with a magnifying glass, just in case they spot something that the average person overlooks. It's also worth noting that coins like the 1990 10 pence are part of a much larger narrative about decimalization. In the UK, the decimal system introduced in 1971 replaced the complex old pounds, shillings and pence system with a straightforward base 10 structure. The 1op coin was initially quite large to match the pre-decimal florin, but over time it became clear that a smaller, lighter version would be better suited for modern commerce. The 1992 coin represents that evolution, showing how coins adapt to the needs of the public, vending technology, and even metal economy. In that sense, this coin is not just a piece of currency, but also a piece of social history. For those interested in building a coin collection, I recommend picking up a 1992 10 pence in the best condition you can find. Circulated examples are easy to obtain, but a boo or proof version will give you something truly collectible and long-lasting. Look for coins that still show strong details on the Queen's portrait and crisp lines on the lion's mane and crown. Check if the coin comes from a royal mint set, as these will usually hold their value better. Many collectors also enjoy comparing the large and small 1op coins side by side to really appreciate the differences. A circulated 1990 to 10 pence is generally worth only its face value of 10p. However, uncirculated examples can sell for a few pounds, and proof or mint set coins can be worth more to collectors to appreciate the historical importance of the year. Error coins or unusual varieties, a rare, can be worth significantly more. Ultimately, the true worth of this coin lies in its story. Marks the beginning of the modern 1op coin we all know today. If you enjoy learning about the 1990 to 10 pence, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into coins and currency, and leave a comment below if you have one of these coins in your collection. Next up, the 1997 50 pence coin was first introduced in 1969. To replace the 10-shilling note as part of Britain's decimalization process, and for almost 3 decades was struck in a distinctive large 7-sided design that was instantly recognizable. By 1997, however, changes were afoot. That year marked the very last time the larger, heavier 50 pence piece was minted before it was reduced in size to the smaller version we know today. So in essence, the 1997 large-size 50 pence is a farewell issue, closing a significant chapter in British currency history that makes it not just a coin you spend, but a coin that represents the end of an era in everyday British life. The design on the reverse of the 1997 issue is one that most people in Britain would recognize instantly. It features Christopher Ironside's seated Britannia design, holding a trident and shield accompanied by a lion. This motif had been in use since the very first 50 pence in 1969, and had become a cultural icon of stability and strength. The obverse, of course, carries the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Ian Rank Broadley. What's notable about this portrait is the level of realism and maturity it conveyed, which some collectors praised for its honesty, while others found it to be a bit too stark compared with previous, more youthful depictions. Now let's dive into the mintage figures, because rarity and numbers are often what drive collector demand. In 1997, the Royal Mint struck over for 5.6 million large-sized 50 pence coins, an astonishing number when you compare it with commemorative issues or low mintage rarities. This massive production run means that the regular circulation strikes from that year are not particularly rare. In fact, many millions were withdrawn and melted down when the smaller 50 pence was introduced later the same year. That being said, the sheer transitional importance of the 1997 issue gives it a collectible value beyond just scarcity. If you found a 1997 large 50 pence in your change, or perhaps in an old drawer, it won't make you rich. For the standard circulation strike, most examples trade for about 50 pence to £1, essentially face value or just slightly above. However, condition is everything in numismatics, and pristine, uncirculated or proof examples can sell for several pounds more, sometimes even reaching into the £10 to £15 range if slabbed and graded by a top grading company. Collectors of transitional coins often want a bright mint state example to showcase alongside the smaller 50 pence that replaced it. In addition to the circulation coins, the Royal Mint also released collector sets, proof issues, and presentation tax in 1997 that contained this 50 pence. These sets often hold higher value, particularly if they remain sealed in their original packaging. A proof version with its mirror-like finish and carefully struck detail can sell for upwards of £20 to £30 today, depending on condition and demand. For serious collectors, these proof issues are the real prize, because they showcase the coin in its most perfect form, free from the knocks and scratches of circulation. You might now be asking yourself, why would someone want to hold on to such a common coin? The answer lies in context. This was the final year of the large-sized 50 pence, a coin that had been part of everyday life for nearly 30 years. To collectors, that makes it a type coin, a representation of the end of a series, much like the last issue of a stamp or the final year of a discontinued car model. The 1997 50 pence has historical resonance, and for those who like to build typesets, which are collections of every version of a coin design over time, the 1997 piece is a necessary inclusion. Another angle to consider is investment. While the 1997 50 pence is not a high-value rarity today, numismatics is a long game. Coins that were once common can become scarce in future decades, particularly as attrition removes them from circulation. Already the large 50 pence has been gone from people's change for over 20 years, and younger collectors may have never even handled one. As nostalgia grows and as more people become interested in British decimal history, demand for these coins in top condition is likely to increase, so setting aside a few uncirculated examples now may be a smart move for the patient collector. It's important to be realistic. Don't expect to pay off your mortgage with a handful of 1997 50 pence coins. Instead, see them as a stepping stone into the world of numismatics, a way to learn about coin history, minting practices, and the transition of British money over the last century. Collecting should be enjoyable, not just financial, and in that sense the 1997 50 pence is a perfect beginner's coin, affordable, historically significant, and widely available in different conditions and formats. The 1997 United Kingdom 50 pence is a coin that every British coin collector should know about. While it isn't rare in circulation form, it carries the weight of history. It's the very last of the large 50 pence pieces before the size was reduced with over 456-1 minted. The basic coin won't fetch much, but proof sets and pristine examples hold collectible value. It's a coin that bridges everyday pocket change with the world of serious collecting, reminding us that not every collectible has to be rare or expensive to be meaningful. If you've got one lying around, don't spend it, save it, enjoy it, and perhaps one day pass it down as a piece of living history. Thanks for watching.